Dave W. there chimes in and says it is showtime, and that is what it is. It's showtime right here on the Monday Morning Racer platform. Also, the Competition Plus Facebook page. Welcome to that audience. This is Between the Slicks with yours truly, Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer. But I am not going to be alone tonight. We have got a all-star panel, in my opinion, of content creators that know their stuff in the world of drag racing, and so in particular areas in the world of drag racing. But I know from discussing throughout time that they are fans of drag racing overall. So that's why tonight it's going to be a great show on Between the Slicks as we talk with Darren Williams Jr. of American Hot Rod Entertainment, Michael Narks of Drag and Drive Addiction, and then Casey Beckmeyer. He is one half of the Going Bracket Racing gang. And we're going to talk from that sportsman racing to drag and drive to nostalgia top fuel to NHRA drag racing, PDRA, you name it. You want to talk about it? We're going to be talking about it in a 2023 preview. So what can you do as we take a break and then bring in the panel? Hit the like button, hit the share button, make sure to subscribe to Monday Morning Racer. And as we bring these fine gentlemen on, make sure you take the time after the show to subscribe to their platforms as well. This break, and we'll introduce the panel, and we'll talk drag racing. If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope. Up first, a friend in this drag racing media world and someone who has a great passion for the history of the sport and where it is going. He is currently even the assistant editor at CompetitionPlus.com, the world's largest online drag racing magazine. He leads up as well American Hot Rod Entertainment. That's his platform on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That is Darren Williams Jr. Well, Mr. Williams, how you doing tonight?
So earlier in the week, right, I'm looking at the NBA TV national schedule, right? And I see Celtics Mavericks Thursday night, 4:30. I'm like, oh yeah, two of my favorite players, Jason Tatum on the Celtics, Luka Doncic on the Mavericks, 4:30 Thursday night. Let's do it. Let's watch it. Then I get a text from Lee Kraft saying, do you want to do the show? And I'm like, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm happy to be here, man. How's it going, man? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. Good to have you on. And along with Darren, we're going to have Casey Beckmeyer on. Casey is a part of the Going Bracket Racing gang, the light half, if you will. George, come on, man. You got to come on the show. I miss you, brother. But they do a fine job talking about, well, going bracket racing. And Casey himself is a bracket racer. Before coming on the show, we were just talking about how he's been at the track since he was like 3 years old. So he is steeped in drag racing, especially sportsman racing. And by the way, dragchamp.com gave Casey and George a great review of the work they're doing with Going Bracket Racing. Casey, man, thank you for the time coming on tonight.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Good to see Darren again over there too, man.
Yes. We had a good conversation. I believe it was right before Cordova earlier this year with Funny Car Chaos on that particular episode next to the Mississippi River.
Yeah, exactly. I think you were actually at the track that day.
I just left. It wasn't too far north of it at Twisted Shifters, which, by the way, folks, if you need like the best shifters in the industry and you're needing something custom, check out twistedshifters.com.
Absolutely, man. It's great to be here with you guys, getting to talk about drag racing, which is pretty much the only thing that I've ever known. It was 3 months old, by the way, or 3 weeks old, something like that. I can't remember that far back. You know how it goes.
You've been there for a long time.
It's been a while.
And last but not least, certainly a huge rising area in the world of drag racing is the drag and drive sector. Michael Narks definitely had some time to chat with him and talk with him, get to know him a little bit more this year at the granddaddy of them all, if you will, Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. And he leads up Drag and Drive Addiction. You can follow that on Facebook, Instagram, and definitely subscribe to YouTube. He puts in a lot of work, and he knows his stuff on drag and drive, and definitely am glad to have Michael along for the chat, looking and previewing on Between the Slicks for 2023. Michael, how's it going?
Dude, I'm so excited about this. I've watched everybody's stuff today to try and get caught up, and everybody's channel on here. You all have to go in there and just binge watch all of that content. There's so much good stuff there, and there's going to be a ton of stuff that covers what I do and obviously what they do, and all in the same conversation. It's going to be awesome.
It is. I think we're going to have a great conversation because I know each and every one of you, including myself, we all love drag racing. There might be particular niches in which we have a focus on, but we love it in its totality. But yet, what you do focus on brings to this table and this show tonight, and we can have a great conversation on what is in store for drag racing in 2023. And I think, and not just because it's my show, well, maybe a little bit, but I think we might very well have one of the best discussions in all of drag racing, because we don't have to be NHRA centric. We don't have to be PDRA centric. We don't have to be any centric at all, but we can, in general, yet specifically, talk about what's happening in drag racing, because drag racing is so diverse, it's hard to talk about it all. But we're going to attempt to do that tonight. So I don't really know where to go. I've been thinking about this. Like, what do you start out with first? And I'm going to steal from my co-host on Tuesday night, Slammin' Sam. He had a good question. He said, hey, what would the New Year resolution be for the NHRA? I'm going to ask to each of you in particular, what would be the new season resolution for Drag and Drive, for Sportsman Racing? And Darren, I'll let you lead off in particular with Nostalgia, Top Fuel, and Funny Car.
New Year's resolution. I think for me, it would have to be more races. Like, it's 5 races right now for between Top Fuel and Funny Car. And obviously, with the way these teams run, we don't know how many races they can actually afford to race. But for me, just being, selfish, I would love to see them race maybe 8 to 10 races a year. I would love to see that and have like a legitimate points championship all the way throughout the year. 5 years, 5 races, I know is what they can handle, but I would like to see some more races added to the season. That's what I would like. All
right, more races. I could agree with that. I think they could muster it and handle it as well.
Just a few more, like 3 or 4 more,
Right. The Drag and Drive scene, we certainly got a lot to talk about its growth and what is going to be happening in 2023. It might have one of its best years ever, Michael, but what would still be on the list to get accomplished for Drag and Drive in 2023?
A 5-second average. We need that. We need more than one player at the very tip top of the events. And then promoters, take care of your racers. We all know that if you are going to host an event, you have to take care of your racers. Your racers are the folks that bring folks to the stand. So I want to see a lot of fun awards. I want to see a lot of interesting things that make each Drag and Drive different this year.
Hey, I think that word of promoters take care of your racers can go beyond Drag and Drive to every space of drag racing, and then to every form of motorsports that there is. They do not have a show unless the racer shows up. And that certainly is a regular cry of the sportsman racer. But Casey, overall in sportsman racing, what do you think is a New Year's resolution for those involved?
Man, I would say a New Year's resolution for, overall, a lot of it's been fulfilled. We have 2 potential $1 million to win races next year, potentially 4, actually, if you really think about it. 2 more just recently released. We have Peter Biondo, who's finally going to do what we've been talking about in the bracket racing scene for a long time. Everybody wants to talk about who's the greatest of all time. That's not something that can necessarily be decided. It's kind of like LeBron James can't play Michael Jordan one-on-one in their prime. It's just not how it works. But he has created an all-star event that's invite only, $100,000 to win. I would say the resolution as a whole, in my mind, would be bracket racing has been working forever to finally get the credit it deserves and get the recognition it deserves. We've paid $1 million for the winner, I think 3 times now, guaranteed over $1 million to win. I don't know what more we can really do, but with Motor Mania TV, with things like Drag Racer TV, with Monday Morning Racer, with Going Bracket Racing, and all these shows that are out there, I think we're finally getting the word out and finally, allowing people to understand that bracket racing isn't the redheaded stepchild that it used to be. Sorry for all the redheads out there. I know, Lee, you might feel a little partial to that, but the fact of the matter is that I think we finally have proven ourselves, and we're finally having people realize, hey, I can put together a $15,000 race car and I can legitimately go out and be competitive for a $1 million victory.
Right. It fascinates me that, look, I love heads up racing, but you have those out there that will say real drag racing, and they're going to say heads up. They're going to say quarter mile. They're going to say whatever. And they're going to exclude sometimes something like bracket racing when some of the most hardcore racers out there, they're bracket racers. And they are tough.
There's a guy that'll be familiar to everybody on here. His name's Sean Langdon. Still one of the greatest bracket racers around. Still, I think he, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Sean Langdon won back-to-back Super Comp championships before he ever got in a Top Fuel dragster.
Would not be shocked. I'd have to go and look at the notes and make sure, but I would not be shocked. And he still goes and bracket races, and you can definitely tell his time in a bracket car. He is routinely one of the quickest on the line in a Top Fueler. I know everybody wants to talk about Justin Ashley, and deservedly so, but Sean is right there with Ashley and many other of the top levers in the sport. Well, gentlemen, look, thank you for that. Oh, go ahead, Derek. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just want to say one quick thing. Just going off of what Casey said, just for nostalgia racing, like you think about it, more live streams also. I believe like the only 2 races that get streamed that year is the Holly Hot Rod Reunion in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and the California Hot Rod Reunion. But you think about the March meet and the Nightfire Nationals in Boise, 2 of the most longest running races ever. I mean, those races have been going for over 50 years, and there's no way to watch them. So I would love to see some more live streams for those big time races like that, the March meet and the Nightfire Nationals, because people should be able to watch online and follow along. So much history within those races right there.
And I feel like, Casey brought it up. You've continued it further, and I'm sure Mike can echo it as well. If you are trying to have a big event and you are claiming that it's a big event, and maybe by its tenure it is a big event like March meet, we're in the day and time that it needs to be streamed. You got to figure it out.
Yeah. And here's the other side of it too. It has to be a good stream. It can't just be a camera mounted on the tower and expect people to enjoy that and watch the entire 6 hours of racing.
Right. That's something that Motor Mania TV has done a great job with. They were the first people to really do it as far as the bracket racing scene goes. And they have the swinging cameras and everything like you would expect to see at an NHRA national event. I mean, it's not NHRA quality, but they don't have millions of dollars invested in it either. If they did, it would be that good. But they're tapping into the announcer microphones. Bracket racing's confusing. It is what it is. If you didn't grow up in it or around it, you're not going to understand it. But whenever the announcers over here is saying, oh, he's 002 on the tree, this guy's 3, he's got to get down here, oh, he should have taken 9, but he took this, and you can finally figure it out. And once you figure it out, you're like, oh. And then guess what? Rex Simmermaker comes along with Winlight Bets and says, hey, maybe people want to bet on these guys. So we'll see where that goes in the future.
Right. I think that's going to be fun.
Yes, certainly. It's going to be fun. I think drag racing is one of the best motorsports for betting. And maybe that's something in 2023 that we really need to see the rise up. I mean, I don't advocate people exerting their finances to bet and hope that they're going to have an extensive financial gain. But if you're going to set aside a part of your budget and you can do it and have it within your budget, feel free. And why not the promoters, the tracks, the team owners, the drivers make a little bit more money? And with that, not only is it about the money, but if people are talking more often about who's going to win or who's going to lose, and they're putting bets in, that right in there is actually media coverage and hype that any sport could use, and definitely drag racing.
And it'll then bring sponsorships.
Yeah. Dave W. in the comments says there's so much that has to be done to make bracket racing watchable. I think just explaining to people that are watching it at home why this is interesting, and reaction times, I think, are the way to get into that. Like for the drag and drive stuff, we don't care about reaction times because we care about the overall ET. But for bracket racing, it'd be great if there were, if you didn't have such a disparity in some of the cars that make pass. So you may have an 8-second car and a 12-second car make the same pass, and that's hard to watch for people that are new to it, that are just watching drag racing. But that's a great point.
Go ahead, Lee. It's your show.
No, you're good. You're good, man. I will say, and to Dave W.'s point, and you mentioned earlier with the lingo, the nomenclature in bracket racing might be the most challenging, because when you listen to an announcer that knows his bracket racing, it is like another drag racing language, honestly.
Oh, for sure. That's for sure.
100%, man. And especially whenever you get down in the South, so it gets that way for sure. But something before we started this show that I was talking about with Mike when we were all in the green room back there was the thing I like about drag and drive in general is that I feel like it's bringing hot rodding back. It's bringing you back to working on the car, enjoying the car, going to the racetrack. Once you get to the racetrack, maybe you realize, hey, this car could enter in the street class or the pro class or, whatever the case may be. And then maybe that gets them hooked on racing. And maybe then at the same time, somebody's like, I was just talking to him about my Blue Nova. It still has a VIN number on it. So I could go his direction as well. So maybe I get him interested in this. He gets me interested in that. And now we both made each other's sports better.
Yeah.
Everybody – the drag racing community in general, because it is so it's so wide, because there's, you got bracket racing, you got drag and drive, you got no prep kings, you got professional level racing, you have outlaw pro mod racing. I mean, we can go on and on and on. The thing is I feel like drag racing, if you look at it as a whole, as just a big group of people, we have the widest group of people all of motorsports, because you have to have a lot of money to circle track race. It doesn't matter what level you do it at. Tires are expensive, but you can drag race at a very small level or a very large level. And if we could all just not pick on each other all the time and agree that everybody has cool stuff, because everybody does have cool stuff, man. I like every sector of racing there is, but I can afford to do this. That's why I do that. If I could afford the heads up race, I'd be doing that, but it takes a big wallet to do that, and I don't sit sideways in my chair.
No, Casey, I think you make a great point, and I think that could be a resolution for everyone in drag racing is respect one another. And I think we could move further as a whole. Mr. Earwood, Steve Earwood, longtime promoter in drag racing, helped the NHRA become what it is, and just recently relinquished the reins at the Rockingham Dragway. He mentioned that one of his biggest regrets is that drag racing was not as unified as other motorsports. And his number one that he mentioned was NASCAR. He said there was a time that we had more momentum than what NASCAR did. But because of the splintering, well, here we are, that we have lost that ground. And with me saying that, I want to go to you, Casey, directly. Right now, I think what you said is more important than ever, because though we're not going to do a drag racing news tonight, some big news, I think, a track right up the road from me I have visited often, covering the Southeast Gassers Association, a long-time outlaw, independent, not going to be with nobody drag strip, Shady Side. signed with the IHRA.
Yep.
And we also have many tracks leaving IHRA going to the WDRA. And I've even heard that there might be some NHRA tracks make a shift. So right now, in the sanctioning body world, there is a lot of shifting, there is a lot of moving, there's a lot of pointing as well. What do you think is going to happen in the sportsman ranks? Because that's who I think is going to hurt the most, honestly, with the, well, what I hope is not going to be true, but what I think is going to be the sanction wars.
Yeah, the sanctioning wars, I would say that there is actually a good thing coming out of it, which is getting people talking about drag racing again and sportsman racing in general, which is what started all this sport. Before there was professional level racing, sportsman racing was all there was. And I would say, as far as the WDRA and IHRA thing goes, especially, you and I, Lee, being down here in the Southeast, a lot of that stuff's going up. There's a lot of round around. I mean, earlier this year, Piedmont was supposedly going to WDRA, and then they just released yesterday that they're IHRA, but Kinston was IHRA for who knows how many years. They have announced WDRA yesterday. Coastal Plains, something that I'm extremely, I race there, a few times a year, probably a little bit more this year. It's their 50th anniversary year, and they're choosing to go with WDRA for the 50th anniversary, which really surprised me. The sanctioning bodies, I would say, are kind of battling amongst themselves. I think it's personally going to be good for the racers because it's going to force the sanctioning body to prove why we should go with them. So I think 2023 is actually going to be great for the drag racing community, the sportsman racing community in general. I'm just glad that they're, regardless of who wins or loses in the WDRA, IHRA scenario, I'm just glad that what they're finally competing over is the sportsman drag racers, because people have forgotten for too long that the sportsman drag racers are the backbone of the sport. Every single one of those pros came from some sort of sportsman drag racing, even if it was only junior dragsters. They didn't just randomly step into a pro stock car one day. And I think that ultimately it's going to be a good thing for the sport. I hope that both sanctioning bodies can figure out how to work together and survive. And I hope that all is well, man, but time will tell. And 2023 is going to be an interesting season.
Let me take very quickly and throw in a thanks to Destroyer 1320, $20 for the super chat. Yes, you can actually send me money, and that would help. And he's sending some for some gas travels. And Destroyer 1320 is also a sponsor of the show. He is the individual that created that theft deterrent system for those modern muscle cars. And I think it was last week's episode. Guys, if you didn't see the footage, and you can see it on his channel, this one dude destroyed like the center console of a Challenger, but because of Eric's Destroyer 1320's TDS, that cover, the thief could not do his thievering and take that car. So nice. It works. It works. So definitely check out Destroyer1320.com. Get you one of those if you have a modern car. He's developing more. Definitely need to get that done. Michael, for the drag and drive world, no one ever really talks about IHRA, NHRA, WDRA, because, even Hot Rod Drag Week, it was like one of the top tech guys there is NHRA National Technical Director and Lonnie Grimm, but yet there was IHRA tracks. I think one of the tracks was even non-sanctioned. There was NHRA too. IHRA, NHRA, you name it. So the wars that seem to be going on, does that have any impact, any relevance whatsoever to the drag and drive world?
Not until one of them steps up and puts on some kind of drag and drive set of rules. Essentially, we've been lucky enough to not be kicked out of any sanctioning bodies. And typically the home track is who sets the rules and tech for all of the cars. So if they're IHRA, WDRA, PDRA, NHRA, we don't care. Whoever the host track is, that's where we basically get all of our rules. So I'm excited to not have to deal with all of that.
No, it's a good thing, and it's interesting how the drag and drive community can go in and out of so many of these different tracks and regions, and the one here in the Carolinas was one of the, I'd have to say, 8th mile ones. There hadn't been that many. So
Yeah, there's not that many that are
Street and Yeet, wasn't it?
dedicated. Yep. Southeast Street and Eat. Devin Vanderhoof. You guys will probably know him from a white Fox body convertible Mustang.
So it's good for sure. But I
Yes.
agree with you. I want to see NHRA, IHRA, because they are the standbys. They have been in this sport and represented the sport for so long. I would like for them to give the nod to Drag and Drive, especially after what I saw this year with Hot Rod Drag Week. And as Casey said earlier, man, it is hot rodding. It is drag racing. It is so much of where it all began.
Well, and I mean, here's what I was going to tell Casey while we were backstage was the guys that perform the best at drag and drive events are the guys that build their cars. They know what alternator is on it. They know what transmission is in it. They know all the parts. They know what water pump fits it, all that kind of stuff. Those guys and girls that wrench on their stuff do the best in these cases simply because they have to. You may be repairing a car on the side of the road at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It's always smart to use the Chevy Cavalier alternator if you can, because any store is going to have them. I think an S10 uses the same one.
Yep. And if you've got one that's some special thing that fits only with certain bolts, you better bring extra bolts and that extra alternator.
Right. Yeah. Or you need to go find the AMC Gremlin and pull the Hemi out of it and try to put it in your, Chevrolet,
Yes. And then realize it was wrong, a different mounting style. Then you put it back in the Gremlin and that's Mike Finnegan's video is amazing.
Right.
Hey, Mike.
The moment of defeat for them, I was there filming and watching, and it was just like, oh gosh.
Yeah. But here's the best part. And then Darren hollered at me, but the best part about that whole trip is they still went on the trip. They still did the event. They jumped in the ramp truck and took that car to a shop that works on Hemis, put the car back together, got back. Unfortunately, the rain came in on Friday and didn't even get to make a pass. So.
And now I just wanted to ask, because I think you mentioned this either backstage or beginning of the show. You said you guys had about 4 or 5 races this year, but are jumping up to 26. 4 or 5 last year, but jumping up to about 26 this year. Do you guys ever plan on coming out to the West Coast this year? Because I know here in California,
I'm so excited about you West Coast people. I'm telling you, here's the biggest benefit, right? So most everything's been Southeast. 2019 there were 4 events. 2022 we had 14. Nothing west of Colorado, right? This year, Redwood Rally begins in Redding, California in September. They are almost sold out right now. So if you want to get in, look up redwoodrallye.com. That is going to be Northern California and then into, I think, Oregon maybe. And then there is one that's coming. That's a weekend event that's coming to Tucson, Arizona. I'm actually going to talk to Eric at Destroyer 1320 to see if he can get us some coverage and content from there. And then there is Death Week from Tom Bailey and the team at Sick the Mag that is going to be the week after SEMA. So it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff coming west. And I really feel like that whole market has been neglected for so long that it's going to be overrun. I'm excited to see all the new stuff, because just like you guys, you talk about 5 events. Well, we talk about 26 and oh my gosh, everybody freaks out and gets all, oh man, y'all, there's 12 months in the year and there's hundreds. How many tracks are in the nation? 400 operational racetracks. I mean, we're talking about, we're not even close. And these events are in anywhere from February to November. So why can't we do so many different events all over the country? I don't know. And some in Canada too. There's 2 in Canada now.
Mike, I have a question for you also. Does everybody on here have the Motor Trend app or, the $25 one? So I watched that.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
to be honest, I don't. Yeah.
It's like $25 for a year. It's no reason not to have it. It's
really?
I watch it almost every. Yeah. Well, I got it during COVID whenever everything was super cheap and they never changed it.
Okay.
So I guess it's still 25 for me anyway. But
Heck yeah.
You got a promo code, Casey? I mean, you throw it in.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, Motor Trend app. Yeah. Get this dude some money.
Yeah, exactly.
Referral fees.
Yeah. Just give me my app for free or something.
Yeah. Right.
But my question is whenever they started doing the show Roadkill and it actually came out on Motor Trend and things like that, and then obviously now there's Faster with Finnegan and then they have Roadkill Garage and stuff like that, where they really focus a lot and they talk a lot about the drag and drive type stuff. And they are actually building hot rods as, you know, as guys like us could build. We don't have big shops or anything, just 2-car garage type stuff. Did you notice the drag and drive stuff get more popular? If you maybe you've never even thought about it, but the show's been around, I think, for like 7 seasons now, somewhere around there. Did you notice it start to get more popular as that show came out?
I think once people started seeing that, you know, these two guys showed up, bought a car, and wrenched on it enough to get it home, I think people are like, hey, I can probably do that. I mean, how many channels do we know that were spun off just because of that? I mean, you got like Vice Grip Garage who rescue stuff all the time. You've got, there's 8 or 10 other channels that I can probably think of in a few minutes that are focused on taking a car that didn't work, making it work, and road tripping. I mean, how many people want to road trip in their hot rod? That's why I think the drag and drive community has blown up. And some of the exclusivity behind it too. You know, you couldn't go to your local racetrack and be on a drag and drive. You know, you had to sign up months ahead of time and really hope your fingers were fast on the computer so you could get in. And then you saw all this hype becoming, you know, like 1320 Video has grown so dramatically in that time, covering these events. You know, the magazines have come along. Everybody's kind of been churning this drag and drive, just like what you're seeing in bracket racing now too. Is like there's so many people that now have a phone in their hand, or that have created their own channel, or that have begun to have that conversation with everybody that's out there, that the social media posts begin to get shared more, and everybody kind of digs down into their style that they like. So yes, I definitely think Roadkill has made that a lot, has grown it a lot.
That's true, man, because I think a lot of people, what they don't understand is they wonder why their sport isn't big. And it's like you just said, everybody's got a phone in their hand, and people don't realize social media is free, man. Like, yeah, you have to work at it. We all know how much you have to work at it to get a following and things like that. But at the same time, you know, you don't need to have a following to put your stuff out there and get it publicity. Every single person on here had no followers when they very first started at any of this stuff. So, you know, and it's a pain to get started, but you can get started. 1320 Video is a great example of that. I mean, they were just doing underground street racing for a really long time, and still do a lot of that. But I mean, those guys are, how many followers do they have now? Are they at 1 million?
Oh, like 3 million. I think. Yeah. And then on Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff too. But the other side of that is I have a personal channel that is literally for documentation, like, because it's going to be really fun to tell my grandkids, hey, Pawpaw had a cool car. Pawpaw did cool stuff, you know, and I can show them the video unless YouTube goes away, you know. But to just document your adventures, you need to start recording, and not just keep that on your phone, you know, because who knows who will want to watch that later. So I don't know.
Right. And man, do you realize I literally just ran quick math? I don't even know if it's you know, I don't know what the population of the United States is, but I want to say it's like 330 or 350 million. 3 million followers for drag racing. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 1% of the entire United States population that's subscribed to that channel.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to actually think about on that scale?
It's amazing. And how do we, you know, as a group of us take that, and our, you know, 50,000 followers that are here, how do we get new people in? How do we continually grab new people that aren't necessarily drag racers, but are new people to the sport or to cars or whatever?
Well, you don't do it by going to do whatever you're doing and not tell anybody about it. I can assure you of that.
Right. And I think with you mentioning of how do you, I think one of the easiest things is there are people in car culture who have never experienced a drag race. That is a reality. You have people who love cars. They go to their Cars and Coffee, and they have their Ferrari or Golf or Z, and they actually have no interest in drag racing because they've never been exposed. So I think drag racers and us as media individuals and even fans that are hardcore, we almost have to be drag racing evangelists and go to other car culture events and take drag racing with us.
Yeah.
I think it's like, look, take your drag car to the local Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, if they say you unless there's some rule you have to drive it there, which is no problem for someone in drag and drive, then you trailer your thing there, you fire it up. When you fire your car up, you're definitely going to get some attention and park it and sip on your coffee. And you'll enjoy it too, because you're going to be around other like-minded car people. And, oh, by the way, you never know what business partner you might meet in that situation for your racing. So just go beyond your racetrack in some different areas and start showcasing that and telling that story, but just create a story. Go out there and create it.
Yeah.
And the thing is I tell George about this all the time. My partner on Going Bracket Racing is.
And you tell George. He needs all the telling he can get.
He's texting me right now. But, man, I tell him all the time, I'm like, what none of us realize, because we own it. So it's like, anybody who owns a race car, they're like, they always wish they had something else, or like they don't think that it's the greatest thing ever because they know what they want next. What people don't realize is, even realistically, one of the cars you would consider to be slower at your track is still faster than 99% of the public is ever going to drive.
Yes.
And like for example, my Nova is kind of like a glorified street car type deal. It's got 406 in it, and it's, it's full blown race car, but it's all steel, windows roll down, stuff like that. And before she got pregnant, so this would have been, my son's going to be 5 months old in a couple days. So anyway, before she got pregnant, I said, let's go warm the car up. She's like, really? I can ride with you? I'm like, yeah, ride with me. So I gave it like 1/8 of a throttle. And mind you, this is one of the slower race cars I've ever built, this particular one, because I built it so it could run on pump gas if I ever wanted to. And I gave it maybe like 1/8 or 1/4 throttle, and she's freaking out over here thinking this is the funnest thing in the world and all this stuff. But that's my point, though, is that, I thought that was nothing, but she thought that was insane, and it was the coolest thing she's ever done,
The other side of that too is, like, very few people have held down the throttle at wide open throttle for an entire 1/4 mile. Like, just because you wouldn't do that on the street if you were leaving a stoplight, like, you wouldn't hold it down that long, So it's really fun to watch the growth of those kind of people come to events and make a few passes at a test and tune, and then they're hooked. They go home, they pop open, we hope the Summit catalog, and they order parts and they get stuff coming, and I need an exhaust, I need an intake, I need whatever, and they slowly progress that car, and then suddenly it turns from a 14-second car to, an 11 or 12-second car.
And the thing is, go ahead, Darren.
No, I just want to say I'm one of those guys. As long as I've been in drag racing and love drag racing, I've never, smashed the gas on a race car before, and that's something I want to do. So
come on, man,
never have.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, but I have warmed up Kansas John Wheatley's front engine top fuel car though.
That makes me giddy
on nitro. So I have done that. So next thing would be to just smash the gas. But yeah.
There you go.
And that's where I feel like bracket racing is great for normal folks that have normal cars, because you can go out and you can be competitive in a minivan. I mean, literally at a Saturday or Sunday bracket race event to get because reaction time is the most important thing that you can do in that, and understanding where you're going to turn off and when to let off the gas and things like that. So.
Well,
right.
yeah,
Now,
man.
Casey, I mean, isn't one of the popular guys in some white Kia Soul? I always see it on Motormania.
Yeah, there is a guy that actually does a lot of winning in a Kia Soul, and it's funny that you said a minivan, because there's a guy that's been on our show that he has a Facebook channel called Fast and Fincham. His name is Rodney Fincham, and he has a great story. He has tons of stories he tells. They might be mostly true. He's one of those guys, 50-50, something like that. But it's always a good story, and that's what matters the most. We all know that. But Rodney has a story where he actually had a minivan, and he went to Walmart because it was spinning the tires a bunch, and he went to Walmart and deflated 2 basketballs, put them under the back of it, and aired them back up, and it didn't spin the tires all night. So he actually ends up doing pretty well that night. And one round, I guess he went down and he hit the brakes on a guy to try to mess with some ET, how he was doing it, kind of a little bit of trickery there. Well, it shot one of those basketballs out and he almost crashed it, I guess. So, but yeah, the thing that people don't realize with a lot of cars is that racing doesn't necessarily have to be expensive unless you want it to be. There's a class for everything, man. Like Kinston, KDS Motorsports over here, they're one of the main tracks there. They run the 252 list race. Well, they have an unlimited class, which of course there's a guy out there going like 430s at, it's not Galot Motorsports Park. So if he was at Galot, he probably would have went 390s or something. But they have an unlimited 10.5 class. That's all full-blown race cars. They have a stock block class, so you can only do so much with, you can have, I think you might be able to have one stage of nitrous, but it's got to be a stock block type deal. So you can only spray so much or break the block in half. Mm-hmm. They have some radial classes. They have a street class, which I'm pretty sure requires a 25-mile trip, and then you just hot lap race. I'm fairly certain that's how it works if I read the directions correctly. But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff around, especially in the Southeast. I mean, anything you have, you can race it out here.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, gentlemen, as we look forward to 2023, each and every one of us has mentioned that there are more events or that there should be more events or a big event. I do want to take the time. What are the events that you're looking the most forward to? And look, give me two that are in your wheelhouse, if you will, and give me one outside of it. So, Darren, what are the three big events that you are most looking forward to in 2023?
Okay, so Big Show NHRA doesn't count. Of course, it's the Winter Nationals and the World Finals because it's in my backyard and it's the two races I've been going to since I was a little kid. But outside of that, in my wheelhouse, I'm going to have to go with the March meet, of course, because so much history there. Got to go with the March meet. And one race I really want to hit this year is the Nightfire Nationals in Boise. That thing has been going on for over 52 years. All the legends have been there. As you can see, I'm a big John Force fan. John Force has won that race many a times back in the 80s. So the Nightfire Nationals is definitely a race I want to get out to. As far as not in my wheelhouse, I would love to check out maybe a PDRA race, a Sega race. I know, Lee, you've done Sega a lot. That's one thing I would really love to do. And I feel like Sega, what they do with the old school cars and all that stuff really kind of goes in hand with kind of like what we do out here in Southern California, like that, that old school car culture and stuff like that. So it's really something I want to check out as a Sega race. And I think that's pretty much about it. Try a different organization I've never been to before.
I like that. That'd be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, get out of the West Coast a little bit, get out there a little bit. I mean, only time I get out the West Coast is for NHRA. I want to try something different, Yeah, Funny Car Chaos too. I'm gonna try Funny Car Chaos. There you go.
Everybody needs some chaos in their life.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially since I don't mean to cut you off, but especially since I'm working on this Eddie Hill video, and obviously what he did at Dallas in '88 makes me even want to go to either the season opener or the season finale. Is it still at Dallas this year for Funny Car Chaos?
The season finale is not in Ennis. It's going to be at Mocan. Okay. Well, got to go to the season opener then at Dallas for the Funny Car Chaos. That's coming up, man. Need to be there. And look, anybody out there, you need to take the time to check out a Southeast Gassers Association race.
Yeah.
It is worth it. You will not regret spending your money to see a Southeast Gassers Association race. You definitely need to check it out. Casey, man, yourself, what's out there big for the Sportsman Racer and beyond?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of the two things that I started this show with talking about is, the Spring Fling All-Star event is definitely going to be something that is, it's something that's going to be watched all over the world. It's going to be on Motor Mania TV. It's literally the biggest and best names in sportsman drag racing. The Fling pick 12 people for themselves. The fans are going to pick 12 more people, and then those guys are all going to pick a teammate on to be on their team. So there's going to be 48 drivers total for $100,000 to win. So that's going to be a cool deal. SFG's having $2 million races. The Fling's having $1 million race. And then, of course, they have the OG Million, which has changed to Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis. So I'm interested to see how that packs the house this year as well. Can we pay $1 million at all four of them? It's going to be interesting to see because with the car counts we had last year, it sure does seem possible. As far as outside of my wheelhouse, I was going to say Funny Car Chaos because I think that's one of the best shows around as far as a spectacle goes. Having that many funny cars and being more than one or two events now and being more of a series type deal. But I would say since Darren already took that, I'm going to say World Series of Pro Mod, man. Kind of for the same deal. It's a spectacle deal. I think they have Mountain Motor Pro Stock there now also. And I want to say maybe there was word about talking about some other sort of class you'd know better than me, but just simply the names involved in that, man. And the fact that is it going to be 8th Mile? I guess it's at Bradenton, right? So it'll have to be 8th Mile, right?
Yes, it's 8th Mile, and you are referring to they're going to have also Extreme Front Wheel Drive will be there.
Okay. So I think I have a friend that's actually heading down there to watch that. So, anything that Wes Buck's involved with is always a big thing, man. He knows how to do it right. I was at World Series of Pro Mod in Denver whenever I lived there. I actually lived about 15 minutes from Vandermeer, so I ran over as soon as I heard it was going to be there. And I was at World Series of Pro Mod there. It didn't disappoint. And in fact, Stevie Jackson did a 1/4 mile burnout. So, he's the John Force of Pro Mod. But, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's on CBS too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a tape delayed scenario. It will still be streamed live. And from what I understand, we little YouTubers will still be able to go and get content and put on YouTube, and Masters Entertainment will be having it on CBS Sports. So people who have the particular package on DirecTV and beyond are going to be able to see drag racing on a platform that, as I recall, when I had CBS Sports, didn't have drag racing at all. It had late model dirt track racing, it had sprint car racing, it had occasionally swamp buggies, everything it seemed like except drag racing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be good that drag racing will get that representation. And that's certainly going to be an event that, away from 2023, people are going to talk about whatever happens down there in central/southern Florida. It is going to be talked about for sure. Michael, yourself in the drag in drive world, you said a bunch more events coming online.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to most of all? And if you got it on your list, you can't use Hot Rod Drag Week. You can't use the big ones, okay? Can't use them.
So let's talk. So I hosted my event at MoCan. Love the MoCan folks. We are hosting our 5th Drag and Drive event there in April. So obviously that's on my list. But I'm going to tell you, Sick Week is a big deal. There's going to be a lot of records set there. South Georgia Motorsports Park. We all know what kind of because I feel like whoever doesn't do well enough at Sick Week or Rocky Mountain Race Week or Midwest Drags, which is going to the East Coast, which I'm an event announcer at Midwest Drag. So that's going to be exciting. I've never been to the East Coast, and now I get to announce at 4 tracks there. So that's going to be fun. And then, but I think the Hot Rod Drag Week is going to be the granddaddy of them all. Again, I think people are going to really lay out their cars. They're going to try and push for the fastest times, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, maybe we can knock off Jeff Lutz's all-time record that has stood for 6 years. And then an event that is not in my wheelhouse is Funny Car Chaos at MoCan. I'm definitely going to that because Craig and them have been, mentioning it for a long time, and I think it's time I finally do it. And what a year to do that. I mean, at the end, it's going to be the end of the season. You said that's going to be awesome.
Yes, and you know as well as I do then, and Casey, have you ever been to MoCan? I know you were in the Midwest at one point. Have you never been to MoCan? Okay.
No, I haven't been to MoCan.
Okay. And Darren doesn't get out of SoCal at all. So
I don't blame him. The weather's beautiful in SoCal.
No point in even asking. But so Chris Graves, obviously series owner, Funny Car Chaos, and David Ratton, series announcer, and many other racers, they were talking to me about MoCan, and MoCan was going to come up because I was going to be there for Nitro Chaos and for Funny Car Chaos in 2022. And, it's not that I didn't believe them, but I'm like, man, they're talking this little track up, and they did not lie. They have a fan base that is strangely, pleasantly different. Like they really love their drag racing. They don't leave the stands when junior dragsters come up.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they cheer for juniors as much as they do. So we host a streetcar shootout, or did host a streetcar shootout for 10 years, and loved Mocan, loved them because they just take care. Again, we talked about promoters taking care of their racers. Those guys take care of their racers so well.
Yes, it's a phenomenal track. I mean, you know, Chris has even remarked, he's like, man, I just hold every funny car chaos race here. You know, I mean, and it would be successful there, even at Mocan. So if you're out there in 2023, Mocan, you need to mark it off the list. They have a ton of different events from Drag and Drive to Funny Car Chaos, Nitro Chaos, and beyond. You need to check it out. And honestly, it is one of the few tracks out there, and even in the Midwest, because it's not that far from Indy when you think, well, at least not that far from me, that it has a Labor Day event that's been going on for like 57, 58 years.
Yeah, and they've only been open for 60.
Right. So it's got this like if you're in drag racing and you're anywhere in the Midwest, you cannot today create a Labor Day weekend because
There's so many other.
You just can't. It would be dumb. But this one at Mocan's been going on so long and has such a history. It can stand and does stand and is represented very well. So, hey, if you can't make it to Indy, go to Mocan.
Yeah.
Is that the track with the cornfield?
That's Eddyville.
Eddyville. Okay.
Also, Kearney, Nebraska got a lot of corn. You're probably never going to hit it because of the old airstrip and how far you'd have to go. But Eddyville is the one with the corn of death, if you will.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited about 23. I think it's going to really be a great year just for our sport in general. You know, there's a lot more sponsorship money that's pouring into the sport. There's a lot more. I think everybody is taking notice. One thing we talked about earlier was people getting out and doing it. What I love, and you guys, you'll probably find this funny. How about those guys that are like, oh yeah, my car should run 13s, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a fast car. And then they get out there and they run like a 15.8. And they're like, well, I don't understand what happened. I see that all the time in Drag and Drive. Yeah,
that's the thing, man. Is that that's what I always thought would be cool about Drag and Drive is just the simple fact that you're in all these different areas and all these different track conditions. I know sometimes they're prepped, but are they really prepped? Not to what I would assume would be prepped. You know what I mean? So you still have to have wits about you. That's what's so impressive, really, about what Jeff Lutz did do back in the day.
Yeah,
was just the fact that. Yes, that was essentially a pro mod car, but do you he couldn't have every single pro mod part on that car. It would have beat it all apart. Like they're not made to do what it did.
Well, and I mean, his average across 5 days was a 619 at 5 different tracks, making passes every day, driving that car between tracks. So you start looking at that. I mean, that's really, really impressive, and never ran a 5-second pass. So his window of passes there is so tight. It's like a bracket car, man.
It's amazing, man. Whenever you really look at it, I know, with profilers and stuff, you can do a lot of different things, but you still got to get it there to make it be able to repeat it. And there's really nothing more impressive than a fast street car is one thing, but something like that literally should never even have been on the road. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, words can't even describe it. Those types of cars are supposed to have like air bladders and stuff under them when you're hauling them because it's bad for the chassis. And he's just motoring down through St. Louis,
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what's so cool about this stuff. We've had a couple of guys get real close to that, but really my favorite is the 850 class. I love the street race class, and Hot Rod. They're the ones that kind of coined that phrase, but that's an 850 car is still a really fast car to be driving on the street, and these guys, you talk about bracket racers, these index racers are the same. They're trying to hit an 11,000. I mean, a bracket racer, they're trying to hit a 12,238, which is what their car runs every time. Now these guys are like having to go to a whole new track and within a few passes figure out how to run and a 900, a 1000, 1100.
And people don't understand what really goes into it. They see like Street Outlaws and they're like, oh, we're going to look at the data. Well, they don't know, I mean, the guys driving the cars, they know what they're looking at,
Yeah.
but the people that are watching on TV, they're like, oh, they're going to look at it and it's going to tell them what to do. No, you have to look at that and determine what you're going to do and hope you
Yeah.
made the right choice, because it could easily go the other direction. A lot of
Yeah.
times it does.
Yeah, 100%. And you start talking about trying to calculate stuff. At a great story is Mark Campbell comes into Drag Week this year, runs an 8.501 day one first pass of competition, and we're like, oh man, this is fixing to be on. Well, you have Dustin Trance, and then you have Brian Acton and Jay Blanchard. They're all 850 cars, and they were all by day three within, like, of their averages were within 0.003 or 4 of each other. I mean,
Wow.
the top three in that class across 3 passes or across 3 tracks, but it took Brian and Dustin like 6 passes each day to do what Mark did in one on day 1 and day 2. Day 3, he would have followed it up, but he had a turbo seal leak down, so he had to turn the car up some.
And that's
It's
the
amazing.
thing is, and don't forget about the most important part is, just because you did it on day 1, you still got to make it to
Yep.
day 2, and then you
Yep.
got to make it to day 3. So it's
Yeah.
not just the crazy coincidences and the craziness that they can make it happen, having the skill to do it. Sometimes those parts don't live.
Yeah.
They're not made to do that.
Right. And by the end of the week, this is a good example or good question for you guys, because I don't know weekend drag racing stuff. All I know is drag and drive, right? So these guys made, I think Jay and Brian said they made 19 or 21 passes during the week. I mean, what's a typical weekend guy looking like that's going to a big event? How many passes is he going to make with qualifying and testing and everything?
Well, you gotta win the rounds and everything too. But Matt
Yeah.
Daddis, one of the best bracket racers that there is right now, big money bracket racers. He actually, I don't know if he won 2 of the days at St. Louis. At Tyler Bohannon had a 50 grander. Race Derby City is his website, by the way. But he had 3 50 granders at Gateway Worldwide Technology. I'll always call it Gateway. I grew up.
Yeah,
and it was
me
Gateway.
too. Yeah.
But anyway, he made, I think, 50 or 55 or something that weekend.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
Yeah, but we're not talking boosted stuff. We're not talking,
Yeah.
Insane RPM, and we're talking 8th mile racing too. We're not talking quarter mile racing. So it's totally different scenario. But some of these guys, man, they'll put 500, 600 passes a year on, 582 big block Chevy. And
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So it's, but like I said, you got to win the rounds to put that many.
Then 20 ain't nothing.
Right. Yeah, but they didn't.
20 passes and 1,000 miles towing a trailer.
Yeah.
But Jay and Brian are my favorite folks, and they haul a basket on the back with their slicks in the basket. So just the pendulum of the car looks like this the whole time.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for for those guys being able to drive where they do and have the motors live, because that's a whole nother scenario, is putting all those miles on a motor that was built to do what you're doing. And now, because that 850 car, it's getting beat on as if you're trying to go 750s with it because of all those extra miles that you're putting on it. And, going up and down hills and all that. That's why, see, people don't know this, but ProCharger actually doesn't. I mean, they do now because now it's a big sector. But originally, when people started racing with ProChargers, ProCharger didn't care about their drag racing program. They just knew that if a drag racer can't break it, then that'll show them where the weak spots are for their street cars. They didn't care about drag racing stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's such a big deal. I'm sure they do now, but in the early days, that's what they had said on at least one of the podcasts I listened to.
That's cool.
Well,
And then,
I can tell you from the Nitro guys that they're certainly not looking for 20 runs. In fact, they're looking for, if I'm in the show, depending on budget, and I can pull out a line, I'm pulling out of the line and staying in the show.
Yep.
Man,
That's awesome.
people need to look at that drag and drive stuff as far as sponsorship goes, though, man, because if you ever want to test parts, if you want to come out with new parts, those guys are going to figure out if they work or not. And then I'll put them on my car. If they make it on yours, then I'll put them on mine.
Yeah, Motion Raceworks, that's what they do. They test, and TBM brakes, that's what they tested. They literally took El Toro, which is his Coyote swapped Fox body, that's an 850 car, and took it and no shoot for all week and tested their brake system. So at 160 miles an hour. So
Put them through the paces.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Darren, man, nostalgia, Top Fuel. I know last year they wanted 2023 to be their biggest year yet in everything that they were talking about and seem to be promoting. You have been having them on your platform, American Hot Rod Entertainment, and chatting them up. What do they have in store in Extreme Top Fuel? Excuse me. They get thrown around, nostalgia and extreme. So, one, fill us in. What are they running with? And then two, what does it look like for those front engine nitro guys?
Well, first off, Lee, from what I've heard from everybody so far within that community, they do not like being called nostalgia whatsoever. So they want that word to just be gone. They just want to be known as front engine top fuel drivers because they say there's nothing nostalgia on their cars whatsoever. But, obviously, like you said, there's Extreme Top Fuel, and then there's the All-American Fuel Association, All-American Fuel Dragsters, which are most of the guys who drive in the NHRA Heritage Series. Well, in the NHRA Heritage Series, I'm pretty sure the schedule will be dropping very soon. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same as always, 5 races in 2023. The only one that's up in the air right now is Tulsa, Oklahoma. As you guys all know, NHRA and Tulsa kind of had their problems a few months back. So not sure if Tulsa's going to be on the schedule next year. But as far as Extreme Top Fuel, they're banking on about 4 races next year. They added 2 so far this year. So they're going to be racing at Bandimere in May, and then they'll be racing in Norwalk a few weeks after that. So they add Norwalk and Bandimere to their schedule in 2023. And that'll go along with Martin, Michigan. And I forget the 4th race on the schedule, but they're going to do their own points still, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you're going to see a lot of All-American Fuel Dragster guys going over and racing in Extreme Top Fuel. And if you watched our show yesterday, you guys want to follow the Kings of the Sport podcast. We bring all the greatest personalities and drivers in Nostalgia Top Fuel, Front Engine Top Fuel on the show. And Pete Wittenberg, he's a champion in the class. He won the 2020 NHRA Heritage Top Fuel Championship. And he basically said, we're going to try to start racing in other areas. NHRA isn't the best place for me to race. And so he's looking to go to Bandimere and Norwalk next year. So it's be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to see how it all plays out.
A front engine dragster dragon drive machine. I wonder.
Hey, there's Brian Coleman runs a nitro car, nitro gasser on. He's coming to Nostalgia Nights, which is at Bunker Hill Dragway in Indianapolis or Indy. Sorry,
is that the
Indiana
green
yeah.
car?
Yeah, and it's Bunker Hill, which is one of Indiana's oldest drag strips,
yes.
and going to Muncie and back. So that'll be a fun event. I'll be at that one too.
It did surprise me how many gasser-esque cars are in the drag and drive scene. It's like, what?
Yeah, thanks Tulane Blacktop.
Right, yeah. Right, for sure. Well, guys, look, we're going to begin winding things down. A lot to look forward to in 2023. Let's take some overall general predictions, all right? So, NHRA Camping World. Mm-hmm. What do you think, other than the U.S. Nationals, is going to be the most memorable event? And of the classes in which you want to give a prediction for your champions. I think the most memorable event this year is going to be that return to Chicagoland. And if conditions hit just right, we'll even see some records be reset.
Well, just going off of Chicago, you mentioned Chicago. So I know we only go 1,000 feet, but I mean, the quickest quarter mile ET was in Chicago, 4:42.0, Doug Coletta. So, I mean, that is there. And when Chicago was in the fall, too, Chicago was bad fast when it was in the fall. But it's in May, so it's a little earlier than before when it was in June, July. So we may see some records this year since it's in May. I don't know. I don't live in Chicago, but Dave lives near Chicago, used to live in Chicago, so he'll know better than me. But for me, it's the NHRA World Finals. Drag racing is coming back to Southern California. You got In-N-Out Burger now with Pomona. I told you, the crowd is coming back to Pomona. The Winter National is going to be big too, but I believe by the time we get to Pomona in November, they're going to open that other side, and Pomona's going to be packed to the fullest for the World Finals. The fans are going to come back. Like I said, In-N-Out Burger on board. We're going to have some great championship battles. I'm looking forward to the World Finals in 2023. As far as world champions, you want all 4 pro categories or what?
Sure, man. Give them.
All right, so you already know who I'm going with, Nitro Funny Car, right? You know who I'm. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually going to go with the man who won 8 races last year and came up short of the championship. I think Robert Hight and Jimmy Caprock come back with a vengeance in 2023. Robert Hight will be your Nitro Funny Car champion. In pro stock, Erica Enders dominated last year. But with KB Racing and Titan teaming up, I think Greg Anderson, he comes back with a vengeance in 2023 as well. Greg Anderson and Pro Stock Motorcycle. I mean, it's tough to go against Matt Smith. I mean, I don't see anybody stopping him. I think he wins title number 6 and no 7, excuse me, and passes Dave Schultz for the most Pro Stock bike championships of all time. And then in Top Fuel Eliminator, haven't done that in a long time. I'm gonna go with either Steve Torrence or Antron Brown. Great to see Antron Brown back in championship form. I'm going Antron Brown or Steve Torrence. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. Casey.
Well, man, as you know, the pro categories are not exactly in my wheelhouse, but I will say that I am excited to see him return to Chicago. I know there's a lot of people that wanted to have that happen. I do have a twist in here that I'm going to ask all you guys, which is, how many more championships will Erica Enders win before she retires?
3 more. I don't know. That's my guess.
I was about to say 3. I like 3 more. I like 3 more.
Do you think, I guess I should ask rather than that then, because that's kind of an ambiguous type question. Is there a number that you think that she has in her mind she wants to hit before retiring?
I don't think so. I listened to a podcast with her sister, and I think they are just downright competitive. And I think now, unless her sister gets more involved with Flow Sports and all that kind of stuff, and that pulls away from their time drag racing, I don't know. But I think she's going to go till she can't.
I agree with that, because I don't think there's a number. I think it's just go as however long she can and win as much as she can, because everybody, every now and then I'll get asked, like, what's Erica like? And I just say, oh, she's race car. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, she is race car. Because I usually, she was very generous to me and gave me some of my first interviews ever when I started the Monday Morning Racer platform and going to the track. And I kind of would stump her with my last question every time. And we're at Pennsylvania, Reading. She's number 1 qualifier, and I get an interview with her, and my last question, she stumps me by her reaction. I ask her, so what does, at the time, 3-time champion or 2-time champion at the time, what does 2-time Pro Stock champion leading the class, what does she stream? What platform does she often go and watch? And she looked at me and she's like, what is streaming?
Yeah.
And it was honest. It wasn't a joke. She was heart attack serious. What is streaming? And she's like, oh, that's my sister. She's all the tech and everything. And I'm focused on my race car. And that's her.
Yeah.
She's race car.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
How do you think she'll perform? Because she's running Wes Buck's World Series of Pro Mod in that Mountain Motor Pro Stock, in the Mountain Motor Pro Stock class. So that being 8th mile, obviously, we know Erica is one of the best on the tree, so that's going to be that much more important. So Elite might not be 100% the way they are in NHRA as far as the mountain motor game goes. How far is Erica going to go in that deal? Because I think she's going to – I bet you she's in the semifinals at least.
I think that's a good prediction, semifinals. Granted, I will say, Erica, of what big races she has competed in outside of NHRA, she hasn't performed that well. And you look back at the World Door Slammer Nationals, it would have been one of her first opportunities to be in a big show, standalone type of event away from an NHRA points-paying event. And she went out like round 1 of the first one and then only made it to the semifinals. If I remember correctly, lost to Greg Anderson in the second one. So maybe she makes it all the way this time to the final in a Mountain Motor Pro Stock version, but maybe a bit of an Achilles heel in these one-off, non-points paying NHRA big type races. But she is definitely going to perform well. A lot of people don't realize Erica Enders has even been in an alcohol funny car. So she has experience, and yes, it wasn't necessarily in a race, but she's been to Frank Hawley's and she's been in the alcohol funny car. She was moving at one time a nitro kind of trajectory, and the Pro Stock ranks became available. She's been in a Pro Mod. So from Pro Mod to the Pro Stocker, the in-between is Mountain Motor Pro Stock. She's going to be just fine, and I think they're going to be extremely competitive even out of the gate, because the announcement of the Elite Motorsport growth towards Mountain Motor also was enveloping the JR Carr operation. And JR Carr, that ride holds the quickest and fastest in the quarter mile for the NHRA. So I don't think they are going to skip any beats, but they're going to go down there with Richard Freeman and Erica Enders and perform exceptionally well.
But she's got to get through John DeFlorian. Will it be a 399? Will he finally get the 399.9?
I don't think anybody's going to do that. I don't think it's going to happen at Bradenton. Nothing against Bradenton, but if it's not happening at Virginia, I don't think it's going to happen anywhere else. I have routinely been told that Virginia Motorsports Park is the best surface in the United States of America. And
That's exciting.
There have been times that the conditions have been just right, and it still did not happen. For those guys to hit that 3.999, everything. There doesn't need to be a leaf in their way.
They got to get it down in the first 60 foot. That's where it's at.
It has to be. I mean, guys, I saw the quickest pass so far. John DeFlorian, 4.000. Oh, I mean,
dude,
brutal.
Push. I should have breathed, and maybe it would have helped. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you guys, and that run was nearly flawless. It's out there, but it's yeah.
Man, side note about DeFlorian, and then I'll quit sidetracking your show here. But John DeFlorian, so he's from St. Louis area, right? So I grew up racing in St. Louis my entire life until I moved out here. And John DeFlorian, they used to, on Junior Dragster nights, they would hot lap the Junior Dragsters and they would round robin them and bring them back up the short chute, because you used to have to drive all the way back through the pits. Now you drive up the short chute. Well, that was where the Junior Dragsters always were. Well, they had Outlaw Pro Mod there on Friday nights. And John DeFlorian was in a different car every week. He was in somebody else's car, racing somebody's car, because he worked for, who did he work for? Bickler Haas for a long time. He was like their lead engineer or something.
He's still there. He's still. I believe it's Haas.
Yeah, but anyway, I've seen John DeFlorian drive more cars than anybody, and he has no idea who I am. But I've watched him go down the track more than probably most people.
That's awesome.
So anyway, go ahead, Lee.
No, you're good, man.
I know
You're
we
good.
went off on a tangent.
Michael, yourself, NHRA wise, Camping World. What are your thoughts? What event and any predictions?
I have no idea about that stuff. I'm rooting for my boy Lyle Barnett though. Whatever he's doing, I'm with him. I love that dude.
Lyle's a cool dude, and certainly a wheel man. He'll jump in anything, and usually performs extremely well, from beer money to NHRA Pro Mod. So,
him and Stevie Fast got a podcast now, right?
I believe it's going to start up soon on Tuesday nights, from what I understand. It's like 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday nights.
That's great. That is great. Those two together are hilarious.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That would definitely be good. And frankly, they're doing something that more drivers, more teams, they need to do that exact thing. Team up with somebody and keep doing, like, we need J.R. Todd and Sean Langdon to start their podcast once again. It certainly wasn't second tier in its nature. So they need to start that back up. It was first tier.
The Nomex effect.
Little shade.
I like that.
What I'll say is, like, I really want Netflix to take 2023 and do an F1 series. Like, I think the Erica Enders story would be awesome for a full-on, big network to attempt what they did with F1, to show the rest of the world what drag racing is really about. I think that's what we're going to have to see to take that next step to be on, to bring even more people in. We've got to have the normal person at home that wants to watch that stuff. I mean, a lot of people watch Street Outlaws. Why not have Netflix do something, or Amazon Prime or somebody really nice, really highly edited, high quality stuff that shows the struggles that drag racers go through, especially at the pro level, you know.
That's true, man, because especially with that family, because don't forget they had Right on Track, a Disney movie. I
Yep.
think that's what it was called.
Yep.
Yeah.
Courtney already does all of this social media stuff. Erica has already proven herself to be one of the greatest pro stock champions of all time. I mean, what more do you want? Like, they literally check every single box to make it the easiest, smoothest flowing story you can possibly have. Story's already there. It just needs to be videoed.
Yeah. And Elite Motorsports, I mean, they're doing a big part for the whole drag race community. You know, I mean, as many cars as they campaign and things like that makes it a big deal. There's just a lot of drag and drive people that are in the Elite Motorsport family that drive trucks and all that kind of stuff. That's why I don't know. I follow those guys.
Well, they got Butner now too, don't they? Bo Butner, I think, went.
Oh
with
yeah, I think so.
So that could be somebody who's a major force for pro stock next year. Because that guy is a race car driver, man. He won the Spring Fling in Las Vegas, not last year, but the year prior, I believe. Randy Lynn, I don't know if they're married quite yet or what, but she won one of those as well, or runnered up one of them in his super gas car. Bo's won, races in tons of different categories. I mean, comp eliminator, I think super gas. I think he was running super comp the other day. Obviously, big money bracket racing. When he won in Vegas, that was $250,000. More than he won in pro stock, and he won a lot of races in pro stock.
That's awesome.
So, Mike, Drag and Drive. Give me your best pitch. Someone's out there right now. Maybe they're even a drag racing fan, actually, but they're like, man, those Drag and Drive guys, I just don't know about them. What are they out there doing? Give me your best pitch on why someone should attend Hot Rod Drag Week or Sick Week, or just see one of the days and maybe follow a route.
Yeah, for me, it's the fun. It is the camaraderie that grows within the drag and drive community. You're literally surrounded by like-minded people. So if you are a car guy or girl, you'll love. Here's the best part. It's not the racing. It's not being at the racetrack. It's oh man, I'm going to run through McDonald's on my way to the next track. And you pull in and every car in front of you is going blah, 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 blah. You pull into the gas station and it takes you an hour to put gas in your car because there's 30 other race cars at the same gas station, everybody eating gas station food, everybody trying to put 91 in their car so they can get out of there. And then it's the hotel parking lot. If you enjoy standing around, having adult beverages or not, in a hotel parking lot talking about cars till 3 a.m., you'll love Drag and Drive. That's the entire premise of the whole thing. Is racing is such a small part of what we do.
Yeah, definitely. People were having a good time around the drag racing, but away from the track as well, for sure. So overall, what question did you put out, Alan? I'll see what we can answer. I don't know. I didn't see it. So put that back out there. But we'll begin to close things down. Overall, Darren, 2023. You look into the crystal ball. What do we say at the end of the year overall in drag racing for 2023?
End of the year. So we come off an amazing 2022. I mean, you're coming out that first year of COVID. Like 2021, obviously, 2020 was the end of COVID, but 2021, we're still kind of coming out of COVID. I feel like 2022 was like that first full year out of COVID without the restrictions, regular NHRA schedule. I'm mostly, I'm not big in bracket racing like Casey or drag and drive like Mike. So I'm mostly, big show NHRA or nostalgia racing in the NHRA Heritage Series. You're coming off an amazing year, great attendance, sellout crowds, record-breaking performances. We saw the fastest speed ever in Top Fuel history. I mean, coming off this amazing year, 2022, I think we back it up even better in 2023 and have one of the greatest seasons ever in NHRA drag racing history. And as far as just nostalgia racing, I believe it's just continuing to grow. I mean, for the past few years, it's like it's kind of an older crowd. You know, you have these old crew chiefs, old drivers, old crew members who used to work on big show teams now coming over here. And I feel like there's a little bit more, you know, there's a shot of youth in it now. You have myself, you have Les Mayhew of Nitro America coming in, trying to just grow, you know, the sport of nostalgia. And I keep saying nostalgia. They don't want to be called nostalgia anymore, but just the sport of, you know, front engine top fuel, front engine nitro funny car, you know, all that stuff. Just trying to grow it as much as we can. And it's a cool deal. Like if you guys never been to a March meet or a California Hot Rod reunion, come out. I mean, you think every drag race is a pit pass in the NHRA, but in nostalgia racing, and I keep saying nostalgia, we got to figure out what word to use though. But I mean, you could literally walk into the pits. You know, the drivers, they really come up to you, have full on conversations with you. They take you into the hauler. You know, you can come up right to the car. They let you sit in the car. You know, all this stuff. They sign autographs. I mean, it's so cool. It's like the camaraderie. It's like a family. Then the racing's great. You talk about 7-foot header flames on this 12-inch wide tire on nitromethane. I believe like 95% nitro. So I mean, this is all around just great show. 8-car fields. I know 16 for the March meet for funny car, but just all around just a great show. Come out there, check it out. If you guys would like to, Kings of the Sport podcast, I do that podcast with myself and the driver of the West Texas Hustler front engine top fuel dragster, Michael Anderson. That show will actually be moving over to Competition Plus's YouTube and Facebook in 2 weeks. So check it out. It's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to 2023. It's gonna be a big year in drag racing.
It is. It's going to be a big year in drag racing. Mike, look, what do you got?
No more nostalgia, though. No more nostalgia. Got to get that word out of my head.
Hey, Dave W. called it nostalgia. That would be great. That's a great term, nostalgia. That would be cool. Yeah.
Now, it's technically it's neostalgia. Okay.
Neostalgia. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, man. Mike, what do you got coming up content wise? Where can people follow you? And yeah, Drag and Drive 2023, growing bigger and better.
It's going to be wild. So you can find everything, draganddrive.com, for all of our lists, all of the events coming up, all that kind of stuff. But then I'll be at Sick Week, February 12th through 18th. That's going to be a huge event, week long. I'll be going live throughout the day, finding drivers to interview, all that kind of stuff. And then, I don't know, I expect 23 to just be absolutely crazy. I really look for Jeff Lutz's 6-year record to fall. There were some real opportunities on Drag Week for that to happen. Unfortunately, Tom Bailey had rebuilt his engine, I think, twice, or he could have probably knocked it off. I think if we'd had one more day of racing, we missed that Friday, he would have been really, really close. So anyways, yeah, I look for 23 to be absolutely crazy.
Casey, growing bracket racing. Well, y'all talk bracket racing. And minus a computer kaput for George, your other half, what's ahead for going bracket racing and bracket racing in general in 2023?
Well, like I said, we have major races, but speaking of George, I literally just got a text on my phone and he said there's breaking news right now, so we might as well just release it here on Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, right? Galen Rawlson has just announced that GABR, which is Great American Bracket Races, is going to put on a $500,000 to win race in October. So now we have 4 potential $1 million to win races. And this isn't including the various $100,000, $200,000 races we have throughout the year as well. So we have that on top of it. In fact, Galen's actually putting on a $25,000 to win foot brake race in March. Been promoting for a very long time. They were behind 2 guaranteed $1 million races that were extremely successful. But October, there'll be a $500,000 race for that. So, you know, we have all these people right now saying the economy's doing this, the economy's doing that, and that might very well be true, but it sure doesn't seem like these business owners are, and promoters are thinking that it's going to be that bad. So I think that at least on the bracket racing side of things, 2023 is going to be just as big as 2022, which was even bigger than 2021.
Awesome. Hey, Lee, I got some breaking news though. Can I share it real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So if you guys follow my national event recap show called Inside the NHRA, you could put me down. This is a joke, but Inside the NHRA, we cover the 4 pro main.
Oh no.
This is for the live chat. So next year, 2023, snowmobiles will get their own solo recap during Inside the NHRA.
Yes,
baby.
Yes.
There we go. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
That's for everybody in the live chat right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ton of snowmobile conversation going on over there.
It's kind of like an inside type of deal, Mike. I got to share with you off screen.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
perfect.
it's a NHRA inside joke. But hey, we're not cracking on snowmobile
No,
drag
not at all.
races. Look, I can tell you, like where I got my start, Lancaster Dragway, just east of Buffalo, New York. It is serious.
Yes.
The snowmobile racers are serious, and they haul. So
Did you see the ones at PRI? There was like, I mean, I was blown away. They had a whole booth of them out front. Man, I wouldn't ride that stuff. It's too dangerous for me.
You know, it's beyond even drag racing, because like, okay, when you think of drag racing, I mean, we're obviously talking like on asphalt, but you know, and concrete. But drag racing, we can also talk about sand drag racing, dirt drag racing, and grass drag racing. You know, snowmobilers, they even do it later in the winter on grass and couple it a lot of times with hill climb type of events.
Wow.
But when you see, I'm not sure what it might be Formula Snowmobile actually, but we're talking about snowmobiles that have been fully customized. They run on a percentage of nitromethane. They even jump some hills in an oval race. And these guys have rooster tails of snow and ice. And there's somewhere in the cloud, there's snowmobilers behind the leading snowmobile guy. Like, y'all nuts.
Yeah,
Lee-
yeah.
Whenever before I went to college, whenever I was about 18 years old, I worked for a Honda and Yamaha dealership in Nashville, Illinois, Holzhauer's Auto Motorsports Group. Anyway, Brad, the owner, he was real big in snowmobile racing, and he would pay you extra if you would go with him and be his pit crew on Saturday or Friday or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll go. They line 4 or 6 of those up on the grass ones, and they all take off at once. It's insane. But he had an asphalt one that had a turbocharger on it. And this, you got to remember, this would have been about 20 years ago or so. He had one that he ran on the asphalt that was turbocharged, and it went low 6s.
That's crazy. I'm out. No thanks.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
That's too fast for me.
And don't they have like pro mod snowmobile, right? Like something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I think they ran at Brainerd. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
it's fascinating what they're doing on, you know, a rubber belt with skis on the front. It's
And-
pretty interesting.
And they leave, man. Whenever they leave because their clutch. I mean, essentially, a Junior Dragster clutch originally, that Polar clutch was designed off of a snowmobile clutch. So you change all the ramps and everything in them. You can make them leave harder or softer. But when you go full throttle, they're going, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And again, you know, when we say drag racing, it is extremely diverse. And I hope even this conversation that we've had tonight, because we've talked NHRA, we've talked Neostalgia, front engine dragster. We've talked drag and drive and bracket racing. Funny Car Chaos has been thrown in. PDRA, WDRA, IHRA. I mean, you can tell it's diverse because we got this terrible alphabet soup thing going in drag racing. So appreciate it all. And if you're out there and you're a nitro person, well, don't just die from the nitro fumes. Go out there and suck in some miles along with a drag and drive event. And if you're just a drag and drive person, you know, right, yeah. If you know, Space Grass Clutch, yeah, go listen to that. If you're just a drag and drive person, and maybe that's how you got into drag racing, go check out an NHRA national event, and so on and so on and so on. Go experience, like a bracket racer, you might be able to easily transition your car for a drag and drive event. Go experience that. Go do that and see what it's like, and just get out of your little nook and create networks and create more moments and become bigger fans of the whole than just what you're used to. Please.
Yeah, don't forget that the thing that everybody thinks about whatever they have is everybody is interested in cars. All the cars are cool in their own way, shape, or form. I mean, the other day I saw a rotary car at Galat, And by the way, those things, if you guys have never seen one of those outlaw rotary cars,
yeah.
those things are like fuel altereds, man. They're insane. And
Yeah.
they do not lift. They're
No.
crazy.
No, they don't. They don't. I had two come at me back to back. World Door Slammer Nationals. Like, and the first one was pink. Like, you know, I don't want to run from anything pink, but this thing was coming straight at me, and I'm like 330 on the wall. It takes the cone out, flips it, and I'm like, ah! And I'm like, okay, got that out of the way. That's good. We're good. That's out of the way. Here comes another one. Okay, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to feel. I'm all just like, you know. He launches off, and he does it just like lightning strike in his tire tracks. Hits the same cone, comes right at me. I'm like, man, just get these guys off the track.
Yeah. Lee moved up about 200 feet. He's like, I'm not being down that far.
Right. But no,
Seems
those-
like
they are wild. They are great cars to watch. And I'll say on top of what you said, Casey, the fans they usually bring, the Puerto Rican, Caribbean fans, and the Hispanic fans that have got Cuban heritage and Puerto Rican heritage. I love those people. Like they
Yep.
bring their air horns and they're hooting and hollering. I mean, and they get into it, and you got a bunch of old crusty people. Some of them even watching here tonight, and they're like, "That burnout wasn't long enough." And it's a nitro car cackling, you know.
Yeah.
Like, well, I saw this better in 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I do want to say before we go is that I feel like bracket racers do very well in drag and drive, and there's so many index classes that they can race for, like 11.0, 12.0, 13.0, 14.0 index classes within Rocky Mountain Race Week and Race Week, and then Midwest Drags is adding a 10, 11, and 12 second index classes, all three for this year, and then you've got like the 10.0 Street Machine Eliminator class at Drag Week. So there's a lot of guys and girls that perform very well in the bracket area that could also perform very well in drag and drive. And you know, we don't pay out a lot of money or any money at all, but it's good fun.
Well, that type of you go to a drag and drive event, in my opinion, it's kind of like going to Sturgis. You know, you don't get any money to go to Sturgis, but you go for the experience of going and being around a bunch of people that are like-minded like you and hanging out and having a good time and just visiting with people. But with your index stuff, like you were saying, you get a Z28 Camaro, LS1 Camaro or Firebird, and it'll nearly run 13.0 class. You know, you put a little bit of nitrous on it and you're easy. I mean, I had one again, whenever I was 18 or 19 years old, I had a Z28 Camaro, and I took it to Gateway. I went like 13.38. All it had was an air lid on it, and I don't know what I had, but they didn't have tuners and stuff back then, or nothing I could afford.
Probably had an air lid and a axle back Flowmaster exhaust. That's probably
SLP.
Exactly. Yeah, right. That's right. Well, I want to say thanks for having me on, dude. This has been a lot of fun. And I saw Destroyer 1320 mention this earlier, but I think this needs to be a regular thing if I'm going to invite myself in here. I'd love to talk with all you guys more often.
Yeah, we might need to do this more often and have a regular chat on throughout the year. I know Eric Destroyer 1320. He mentioned like once a month talking some drag racing, and that'd be interesting. Pull some of the big events and pull some news. So we might have to just do that here on Between the Slicks on the Monday Morning Racer platform. Guys, look, I definitely have enjoyed it. I think it has been enlightening, and I think also we have certainly accomplished what I desire to do, and that is have a very well-rounded, diverse conversation about drag racing, something that wasn't just pro mod centric, wasn't just fuel centric, wasn't just drag and drive centric, but a little bit of everything. So thank you for bringing your expertise, your time, and your talents right here to the Monday Morning Racer platform on Between the Slicks. It has definitely been a good show to kick off 2023. Darren Williams Jr.,
So
you can follow him at American Hot Rod Entertainment. You can read some good stuff on CompetitionPlus.com by him. Michael Narks, you can follow him, Drag and Drive, everything from Instagram and YouTube, as well as on Facebook. Twitter, you got Twitter, Michael?
I do, but it's under my personal stuff. So I'm going to move it over to Drag and Drive as well. Start covering more stuff there.
Okay, cool. Got Twitter too. And Going Bracket Racing. I enjoy these guys so much. I even have them airing on my platform. They're doing such a good job. So keep up the good work. George and Casey over there. You can follow them. Definitely go subscribe to their YouTube channel. Where's the YouTube channel at number-wise, Casey? Have we hit 1,000 yet?
Yeah, I believe it's maybe like 1470 something.
Good.
Like that.
Okay, great.
The Facebook page. It's kind of funny. So George and I made the logo you see behind me, Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel, and then you go look at our Facebook page, and you're like, why aren't you the Going Bracket Racing Facebook page? Because I think it's somewhere around like 4,700 now or something. So we went the wrong way. We're trying to catch up.
Hey, progress. So
That's right.
everyone out there watching, you follow these fine gentlemen. Stay up on the news in drag racing. To everyone that watched, thank you. On the way out, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button and share. We'll see you next week. More than likely, you want to pick back up talking to some Southeast Gassers Association champions. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out PowerBuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.